Thanks very much. Thanks, Mr. Williams, for being here. I have 3.5 kind of questions, so we're going to move quick. So we're going to
3.5 men, is it?
We're going to start in this century, and we're going to take all the books as read. So bearing that in mind, you mentioned about the forest fire and so on. Just going back to the era, for politicians specifically, as opposed to economists, what to you would have indicated the strongest that not all was right with the regulator or the central bank in terms of advice that they were giving?
I don't know. I mean, Mark, where do you want to start?
Well, just, I suppose, let's say I'm Brian Lenihan. What to me would have stated clearly the central bank and the regulator may not be what they need to be in terms of what I'm getting.
The most important thing is, have you ever played schoolboy soccer?
No.
Schoolboy Gaelic?
No.
No sport. Jeez, what sort of man are you talking? Right? Okay, well, sometimes if you played soccer at schoolboy, I remember, does everyone know the expression, the banger, in football? That you turn out at under 12s and a lad with a beard who looks about 22 turns up for the little bunch. A ringer, okay? So a banger in Dublin, right? So if a banger turns up in a team and scores 5 goals against you, right? You know there's something wrong. And the young fellas are tiny and he's a big lad. Now, banks can be bangers too. And by that I mean, if a bank emerges out of really nowhere and begins to record profits that are extraordinary and, you know, way out of sync with what had been traditionally the case, either the people are geniuses or there's something going on. Now think about banking. Banking's a very simple business. You lend, you know, 2 or 3%, Mark, right? So this is important. So if I were a politician, I would always be hyper-skeptical of hyper-success because I want to know what's actually going on in there.
Do you feel then that the absence of the regulator and the central bank saying, here's a bank that has taken 100 years to get us to 60 billion, as you said earlier.
Doubled it in 3.
And doubled it in 3. The fact that the regulator and the central bank might not have been saying that was a big issue and should have been ringing alarm.
Enormous issue. I mean,
I'm not trying to lead, but just a
I mean, I think everyone, it's an enormous issue. However, what's much more important is to say it at the time, Mark. Not say it now when everyone knows. To actually have the balls to say it when it wasn't popular and it wasn't what everyone was saying. Say, hold on a second. I don't mean to rain in your parade, but you know what? I feel this is look, the regulator should scare the daylights out of bankers. He's the Elliot Ness of the gig, okay? And he should swagger in, and he should be able to say, come in, lads, come on in, lock the door, I'm worried about this. Once you get a situation where maybe they're all a bit too cozy, then he or them or they, the institutions, I'm not talking about individuals, the institutions, become part of the problem.
Okay, so they all went native. Is that...
That's a leading question, Senator.
Okay, but in terms of politicians...
How wrong would that statement be? They all went native.
Well, look,
is it right? Is it wrong?
Sorry,
or is it a fair sentence?
Mr. McWilliams, speak to me for a second. And I just asked the...
No, I was giving a number of options.
Well, and your option is still wrong. So I'll ask you to reframe your question and not to use a leading question.
Okay. All right. Okay. So just to ask the question again, and we're a good few minutes into it now, what act, in your mind, should have indicated most to the political leaders of the day that the regulator and the central bank were not interpreting the facts?
There's no, I mean, the amazing thing is you're looking for one act. There is an entire cornucopia of evidence.
The first act.
No, I think I mean, for example, I remember writing extensively that I went on a John Bowman's program, Questions and Answers, in about 2004, and alluded to the fact that all the commentary about Ireland was about a budgetary expansion, I think at the time, of about 3 billion euros. And there was the whole budget thing. And I said, listen, that's very, very well. And the Minister for Finance at the time was there in this panel. I said, the most important thing is to not that the 3 billion has been injected to the economy by the government, but that 23 billion has been borrowed in the same period by the private sector. That, Deputy MacSharry. So the private sector was borrowing and injecting into the country 8 times more than the budget surplus. That would have, in my mind, been a moment.
Okay, right. That was only one question now, 8 minutes, so we're going to have to work better at this. You said that you were, quote, slapped down by your own...
Jeez, it's actually a bit more time. Just, you've 2 more minutes.
4 minutes.
Yeah, does this go on every day? Is it like this all the time?
It is,
It's very quick.
I mean, is there something I should know about
You said you were, just quote, you were slapped down by your own profession and establishment. Okay, just first question, and this is a very quick one. Did you mean journalists or economists?
Economists.
Okay. Would you say that economists, therefore, were largely complicit in pushing the Let's Party agenda?
Ooh, I don't think you can say that. But I can say that what amazes me is how many people... It seems to me that the single most explicit profession that almost makes certain that you missed this was to be called an economist.
Just to move on from that then, and similar to what Deputy Higgins may have been asking you, do you feel that other than yourself, were the media largely complicit in pushing?
I'd withdraw the term complicit and maybe to ask you to ask Mr. McWilliams' view on the behaviour of the media during that time.
No,
Okay.
again,
Would you say that
I think, Marc, I answered the question.
you get the message, I think. Anyway.
I get the message. I answered the question. In my case, I was never once, ever, and again, you're talking making big documentaries
That
for
you
RTE.
weren't. We know that you weren't, but I'm interested in your view of others, of the industry.
I think that...
Was there a herd mentality in the industry that drove the partying?
Yes, there's no doubt there was
Okay,
a herd
that's good.
mentality.
The final question. With regard to EMU, and we haven't the time to get into it now, maybe other questioners would follow on the line. It would have been where I would have liked to focus more. But anyway, should Ireland have joined the euro?
Not at all. Not at all. There's no shred of economic, financial or monetary persuasive evidence to suggest that we, that are a country that trades overwhelmingly with the English-speaking world, America, Britain, Canada, where our kids go. Where do Irish kids go when they look for work? I don't see them rocking up to Bordeaux. They go to the English-speaking world. There is no scintilla of economic evidence that suggests anything other than a prejudice. EMU is a continental system. We are an Atlantic race, an Atlantic economy. It makes no sense.
Okay, thank you.
And it has been disastrous for this country.
Thank you.